Okay, so we're going to be having a little short commentary on the debate between Michael Knowles and Just Pearly Things. Two people that are not really likable on social media, especially Pearly Things, who tried to do 360 deals and basically try to enslave any black YouTube content creator who was willing to buck dance and jive to her bidding. And we see how that didn't end too well for many of those black content creators who tried to sell out and be under Just Pearly Things. Without further ado, let's get into this debate, this commentary. Talk Radio live in 4K. Let's get into it. Hope you enjoyed the music, by the way. All right.
Were watching my show and, really watching in the member block and everything, who were both like online pornographers to some degree. And one said she was going to quit. I kind of lost track of her in the show. Another one quit, had a major conversion. And, what a wonderful evidence of the glory of God.
Was it the one on Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah, her OF link was still up. So a lot of times...
She denied that. Someone said that was true.
Her OF link was still up. Yes, it was. I checked it. Yes, it was. I'm positive.
She posted it and showed that it wasn't still up.
It was
I don't know.
still up. But
I don't know. She seemed pretty sincere to me. But in any case, are you denying the principle that people can change?
Yeah, I mean, God can forgive you, but men don't have to.
I'm not talking about forgiveness. I'm talking about repentance.
Repentance is good, but I wouldn't say that makes her wife worthy if you still used to have an OF account. You would agree that men in general should not date women that had OnlyFans accounts.
It's not ideal. But
okay,
I don't think it's disqualifying.
You can't definitively...
Michael Knowles, all right, yeah, people can change, okay? But Michael Knowles does not see the consequences of your actions can actually affect your future. You could be a person that was a person who was accused, who was a domestic abuser. However, even though you have changed, your actions will follow you forever, depending on, family members may not want to talk to you. You have changed, but your actions, you still have to live with those consequences. A woman may have changed, but through God, but the fact that you still did OnlyFans, that's gonna kind of hurt you. Okay, that's gonna hurt you when it comes to finding somebody to truly love you. And it's very difficult to scrub the internet. Once it's on the internet, it's forever. And unless you got that serious type of money to scrub every bit of OnlyFans off the internet, you're in trouble. Okay, you may have to go to a different country, change your name in order to actually get a quality man. You're gonna have to jump through some hoops. All right. Back in the day, when people indulge in such type of behaviors, women, they did that. They had a plan. They were going to do this to pay for college, pay for law school, and they would ride off into the sunset, never to ever have to worry about struggling again. They became a lawyer, changed their name, changed their life. Okay. Even if it meant that they had to cut off family, they did what they had to do in order to get a better life. Okay. Now, in these times, it's very hard to do so because most of the money, according to the sex industry, you have to be online. That's where you get the most tips, the most views, the most engagement. And to cut that off, you're really going to have to do some work. It's a lot harder. I already see that Michael Knowles is really kind of clueless here. Extremely clueless here. Let's go.
You can't definitively say that a woman. Okay.
I don't think it's disqualified. I mean,
well, I think you're going to have a tough time selling guys on that.
I'm not convinced of it. I mean, to quote St. John Vianney, the Saints didn't all start well, but they all ended well. So I wouldn't recommend that people get involved in porn in any way.
Okay.
But there's also, on the men's side of things, men are in a little rough shape because of our modern culture too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot are addicted to porn. A lot have hooked up with a lot of people. A lot of kind of indulged perversions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make them particularly marriageable either.
But why is it whenever we say something about the women, we have to say but men?
Well, because it's an observable fact, and marriage involves men and women.
I know, but all I'm saying, Michael, all I'm saying is don't date. Like, it's just crazy sometimes. I get so curious because I say men shouldn't date women that used to have OnlyFans. Like, that shouldn't even be an argument. That should be like
I don't know. I mean, again, it's not ideal to have.
You wouldn't date a woman with an OnlyFans.
Well, I wouldn't date any woman now because I'm happily married.
No, but if you were single, right? You wouldn't do that.
It would be an obstacle. It would be an obstacle.
It would be such a big obstacle.
It would be an obstacle.
Do it. But that's the problem. I interview guys that are dating a girl for.
This guy sounds like he would get destroyed in this society. Literally, he would get destroyed because he has such an ideal way of thinking that it's not attached to reality. It isn't. And I really hope he stays with his wife, and I hope it lasts. I really do. I hope his marriage lasts because he would be in horrible shape. Okay. In these streets, horrible shape. Because he's not looking at life through reality.
For 6 months, they find out she used to have an OnlyFans account. These are real things that happen.
Sure. Yeah. It's not ideal. Though, frankly, I'm again to your point. I've been out of dating for a long time, but these days, can one find a girlfriend? I mean, I assume it can happen, but in modern kind of liberal secular dating, can one find a girlfriend who's never texted a naked picture of herself? I don't know. Women do this all the time now, and then it becomes a big scandal when they get.
Yeah, so do those women deserve to be wives?
I don't know I don't know that we deserve much of anything. That's my point. Ought we to do it?
That's my point. Is the women of today are not the women of yesterday, and it's becoming more and more difficult to find the women that you're talking about, and there are not enough to go around.
But you're framing.
That's my point.
Sure, but you're framing this as a question of who deserves to be married. But my framing of it is what one ought to do. That marriage is a natural end of our nature.
I don't.
Everyone's not meant to be married. That's what he doesn't understand. Ought to do and what a person should do in their best interest is not the same thing. Everyone is not wired to be married. It's in some people's best interest not to be married because some people are not wired that way. It could be their backgrounds. It could be past childhood trauma. It could be other issues, mental health, different things. Okay, marriage is something that you have to commit for the rest of your life. It's kind of there is no number two. It's just like that's it. A lot of people aren't willing to burn the boats and just all right, this is us. We're gonna work out and get through it. It's blood, sweat, and tears. From people that I've known who are still married. Okay. It's not a joke. And a lot of people, they just abandon ship. And Michael Knowles kind of seems like a person that doesn't realize that.
I don't deal in oughts, I deal with what is. Not what I want the world to be.
But the is of our nature implies an ought in our actions.
But it's not about what we want it to be, Michael. It's about what the world is.
I'm just saying how people ought to behave. And they ought to get married, is what I'm saying.
No, everybody. Oh, boy. No. Everybody ought not to be married. Here's what I see with Catholicism. It it seems like people try to they really try to impose on people things that they don't really recognize human nature. And for some people, it's not feasible to be married.
Okay, well,
which is implied by our nature, which is the is.
Okay.
Right? Because at the very least, Pearl, you would say people want to have kids, right?
I mean, if women wanted to have kids so bad, why are they killing them like crazy? You know,
Yeah, there's a lot of abortion. It's
Yeah.
dreadful. But I'm just saying people
Yeah.
in general, you would admit, want to have kids.
Sometimes they do and they don't. I mean, women aren't having kids like they used to. I talk to women all the time that say they don't want to have kids.
People, yeah, they say it's
So,
unfortunate.
but
People say a lot of those things.
and that's where it's going.
But I guess-
mean, but half of women are going to be single and childless by 2030.
What about
That's
these
the way
men?
the world's
But
going.
The men you're talking about, the men want to have kids, right? Or no, they're also degenerates? Everyone's just a degenerate now?
Men
selfish.
want marriage relationships and families. Men want that in general.
Okay.
But there are obstacles now that make it increasingly difficult for men to do that. One is that yeah, it's really common.
So you would sacrifice having children?
One is that the women are increasingly lower quality. They've gained weight. The body count numbers are up.
Buy them a
Okay.
Stairmaster. I don't know, like get them a gym.
Oh, good luck. You know, I tried to pay a girl to lose weight. I swear to God I did. Because she came on my show. No, I swear. And I said, because she was really fat and I told her to. And I was like, I'll pay for your training. And I said, I'll give you a cash prize. I said, I'll give you $3,000 if you lose weight. That's a ton of money.
Yeah.
She can do it. She
I'll
can
hit
stick
the
to
gym
it for a month. Yeah.
Do I get you off?
Well, you look like you're in shape.
Stop it. Come on.
You know, but that's my point. You know, one obstacle is that the women are lower quality. Okay, the benefits are not the same. Most women are not raised to be traditional wives and mothers, and the cost is getting higher.
So,
you know, it's becoming, divorces are getting more expensive, weddings are getting more expensive. So when you combine those,
they don't need to be, but they are often.
I agree, but it's not about what I want the world to be.
So
I'm Catholic too, and I think there's awesome things about the Catholic Church, but
that's a bit.
No, there's not.
But
it's never good to say I'm a part of this religion, but
it doesn't mean everyone's following it. It doesn't mean that's the norm. And I'm talking about what the world is, not what I want it to be.
But it's not just what you want.
I don't really agree. I don't agree with anything Pearly Things says, but these are things that are facts. Okay. Social media, pornography, manosphere, feminism, these things really make society extremely toxic, and it's very few people that could actually stand against the tide and not be a part of this nonsense. And yeah, and you have fat acceptance. Okay, so you have that women don't feel like they have to lose weight, even though it's in their best interest to do so. They feel they don't have to. And you have men who are red pill, and you have a lot of men in those red pill manosphere spaces that feel the woman is supposed to do everything, get her life together, get fit and stuff, but the men don't have to work out or anything. They feel like they should have just money, and that's enough. No. Okay, so you have those dynamics there, and it just makes people not suitable for marriage. The selfishness, the entitlement, okay? So that makes people not really suitable for marriage, and it brings kids into an environment where two people are not fit to be together, and the kids suffer.
Want it to be? I'm saying, like, if I'm a young man and I'm acknowledging a lot of the things you're saying, that's tough dating out there.
Mm-hmm.
But look, I want to have kids. I want to have a family.
Mm-hmm.
Are you? I know you say you don't want to give
No,
a man advice.
I say every man, you have to decide for yourself.
But let's say the man came to you and said, Pearl, I know what you, but I don't care what you want, I demand.
These hypothetical situations.
Well, we're just discussing a concept in the abstract. I think you're kind of sneaking around giving advice, because I think you're saying, look, through my reason, I've arrived at this conclusion about what's rational and advisable, but I'm not giving advice. So let's get through all that. Let's say the man comes to you and says, Pearl, give me the advice. Should I get married?
Are we reporters or preachers?
I'm just a writer and a talker.
But that's my point. Is you're okay. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Your options are going to be completely different than another guy's options.
Why?
Because
I'm devilishly handsome.
Yeah. Devilishly handsome, where that's not the case for every man has to decide for himself. Do you think men should be extremely cautious when getting married?
I think they ought to be extremely prudent when getting married. Not cautious. I think courage is a virtue and the prerequisite for all the other virtues. So I don't think men should be little wallflowers backing away from a challenge, but they ought to be prudent. They ought to use their judgment properly. And so there are ways to mitigate risks within marriage. But furthermore, they ought to get married because that is the way to achieve the very thing you're suggesting they ought to, which is their purpose.
What if no women want to get married?
Well, they do want to get married.
No, they don't.
I mean,
because when women have the most choice, we don't choose marriage. Women have the most choice when it comes to commitment around the age of 22. They're not choosing to get married. I don't pay attention to what people say.
No, you mean when they have the most options, when they're the most marriageable. But they do. But you will acknowledge those women who have been duped by feminism. Maybe even after they're past their prime marriageable age.
I don't blame it on feminism. I look at it different. I know women that have been raised in this culture that chose to get married at 22, waited till I know women that did the whole exactly what you're describing. So it was based on the choice. Every woman has choice. Every woman has agency.
And they got married.
Yes, but there's also women that chose to go on OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm saying.
I'm just saying. I think those women tend to regret it.
But I'm saying, I don't like blaming your decisions on society because at the end of the day, you are responsible for the decisions that you make.
Right, but your education is responsible for forming the way that you think about things.
No, but there's people in the same education and they make different decisions.
When I mean education in the broad sense, meaning how people are raised, which gets to the point of marriage.
But I know there's people that are raised in bad environments and choose not to do that. Everyone has everyone's got free will, Michael.
Sure, but we're also shaped by our social context and our educations.
Right, but aren't you you're responsible for the choices you make, right?
I'm a moral agent.
I am. Okay.
But I'm more morally free to act the more that I can discipline my lower passions and bring them into accord with my rational will, which is why I'm discussing marriage as a matter of reason. So I guess the question you'd have to ask is, even before we can say whether or not you want to give advice to men, but should they or shouldn't they? What is marriage for? What's the point of it?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point of marriage?
I think that the point of marriage is, it's to create a union. It's supposed to be you are submitting to your husband's authority and you're creating a family.
And creating a family.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's forming a union with certain roles and, a structure and to create a family.
And do you think that's how it's being used today for the average person? For the average person.
Yeah, it forms a union.
No, Michael, it's not. Most people are trying to get married either to get a green card. The average person is trying to get military benefits. The average person is trying to just survive getting married, Michael.
Creates a family.
The average marriage is 7 years.
Yeah, but it's a union.
But I think
it is irritating to listen to him. It really is. It's like just hearing nails on a chalkboard because he is so out of touch with reality. I don't even know what to say, man. I don't. I'm not trying to be preachy or nothing, but this is a guy who says that he's part of a quote unquote religion of the Bible, and it's kind of like you're supposed to study certain things, and you would see that in that Bible, most of those marriages were horrible. And people sometimes, it was hard to stick it out, Michael. And you're just clueless. Just saying. He's very unlearned. It's like ignorance.
But
I think that those are some basics.
The average marriage is 7 years.
Right, but that still forms a union and often creates a family. And that's why you're married, is because liberalism has inculcated in people an extreme individualism and an extreme subjectivism that disconnects their actions and their interests from reason and objective reality and the common good. That's the actual reason why, and it's not just pertaining to marriage. It pertains to building up wealth. It pertains to duties that are owed to the family, to the community, and to God. It pertains to all aspects of public life. It's not just marriage, but because marriage is the fundamental political building block, you see it expressed there.
I'm not against marriage, but I think that men, regardless of what I say, because I'm not going to convince the entire country to get married. Like, no matter what I say.
You don't seem interested in doing so.
Because I don't talk about what I want the world to be.
You talk about how dreadful marriage is.
I don't talk about no. There's good marriages, Michael. But marriage as we do it today is not marriage anymore. And I cannot fault men for being cautious. And some men just aren't going to get married because the laws are too favorable to women. And I think that, okay, I'm going to tell a story. I want you to not interrupt me.
Okay.
Can you please not?
Anytime. I would never interrupt a lady.
Okay. So I do interviews of men that have been divorced often. Okay. And there is a guy I interviewed, and he married a Christian woman. Okay. Good Christian woman, no kids, not overweight, no tattoos.
Checks all the boxes.
No glaring red flags. Yeah. Okay. They have 2 children together. And what happened was one day he comes home. And when he comes home from work, the wife has filed a temporary restraining order on him. Women can get these just like that. He's kicked out of his house. No trial, no evidence, no nothing. Okay. Now he has to wait. It's during COVID. So he has to wait a year and a half to even get to see his children. Okay. And even fight for them. And by the time he gets to court, the mom's been in the kid's ear saying how terrible of a person he is. Okay. Now they go to court and they say to him, well, you haven't been in the kid's life for a year and a half, even though she lied about the abuse and they figured that out in court. This man had, and I saw his court documents, text evidence that this woman was planning to do this to him. In the year, he still had to pay the mortgage on the house. He still had to pay child support in that year and a half period. Goes to court. Now, he doesn't get access to his children. He hasn't seen his kids in 2 years. Michael,
Wow. I wonder what Michael Knowles' response to this. I wonder what it is.
Live a mile from him.
That's awful.
A mile from him. He's so stressed out, he loses his job. Because can you imagine going through that? And he's an average earner. He's not like, because I've interviewed men that make, I interviewed a guy from Texas. He spent $1.5 million on a divorce. He got his kids every other weekend. And these are real things. And Michael, the saddest thing that you see is a man. I've interviewed so many men that I would not be surprised if they committed suicide in the next year, because the woman has completely ruined their reputation.
There was a man recently. He basically unalived his wife because she was having an affair, and she took $1,220K. Okay, I'm sorry. 120K. Sorry, 120K out of his account to give to the dude that she was cheating on him with. Okay. And she was going to bleed him for child support. The dude lost it. Okay, these are the chances men take. I am not MGTOW. I'm not Red Pill. But I understand there is a big chance of you getting screwed over if you choose the wrong person. People lie. Like I said, people don't really get married for love anymore. People marry to survive. Okay? Or they just want to find a way to do what they want to do. They don't want to endure being in a marriage. I'm not talking enduring abuse. I'm just talking just to endure a marriage. That you're forsaking everyone else and you're sticking with the person you claim to love for life. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? People do that.
Called him an abuser. All of this stuff. So his friends, it's completely different with his friends. His kids think he's the bad guy. He's out of money. And he has to start over at 40, 45, 50 years old. And men are 9 times more likely.
What do you mean start over?
Start over.
I can't believe he asked that question. Like I said, this dude is completely clueless. Clueless. I mean, maybe Pearl was better having a debate with somebody a little older, a little bit more experienced, a little bit more open to reality of life and human nature. Let's skip around to the
present.
9, I think it was, in Canada. The divorce rates shot up.
I would say to switch things, I think men shouldn't vote for either party because neither party is taking their issues seriously. I mean,
the issue of divorce.
Where is mandatory DNA testing? You know, I mean, people differentiate
I would not
on
like
these
mandatory DNA testing.
People that, well,
Here he go.
Around 5% of men, up to 30. I mean, it's disputed. I don't want to go back and forth all day, but a significant number of men are raising children that are not theirs. You know,
there's a line in I think it's the Odyssey of where the son of Odysseus says, "It's a wise man who knows his own father." It's true. It's been true for a long time.
Okay, well, I don't know what that has to.
Okay, so he go and quote something that basically is supporting Pearl's point. He tries to sound smart, but he's not smart. He don't sound smart in this situation. I'm a registered Republican, but I sure claim independent conservative because these Republicans are woo-wee.
You know.
Well, you raised the question of paternity, and I'm saying this has been a long-standing trope in the Western tradition. Go back to the earliest days.
But my point is they're not taking men's issues seriously. I don't think either party is. So I think really if it was up to me, I would say men don't vote until one of the parties starts taking you seriously. Sure. I think the left should try to buy him. Not buy him, but like, you know, if Biden came out tomorrow and said, hey, we're going to make divorce and family court more fair. We're going to... You know, we're going to do mandatory DNA test. You might disagree with that.
I wouldn't like that. I find that to be quite disrespectful.
Thing is like Biden wouldn't do that because he got feminists in his pocket, and feminists vote feminists a lot. You know, the ones that are minorities and are delusional and want their own way, he needs them on his team. The black women he needs on his team, the liberal black women he needs on his team. They're not gonna budge. Okay. Plus the judges who make money with these divorces, and they're not going to do that.
Disrespectful to the institution of marriage.
Well,
that is not disrespectful to the institution of marriage. It's to safeguard men and to protect them from getting scammed into providing for a kid that is not theirs. This man,
I think it's more disrespectful that women are lying to men about paternity, and that's a real problem.
Sure.
So
deceitful women, it's a problem throughout history.
Right, and even if it's 2%, 1%, that's 1 out of every 100 guys. That's a real issue, and there's no penalty for women doing it, even though it's fraud.
Sure.
And so until the right and the left start taking men seriously when it comes to their, you know, their issues, I think men should bow out. But you know, this is Pearl's world.
But in Pearl's world,
yeah.
Again, so it's confusing because you say I don't ever tell men what I think they ought to do, but you just said I think men should.
Well, I think that would be a strategy. Sorry.
Right, but you say the same kind of thing when you say I think men ought to wait until the laws change before they get married.
Every man has to decide for himself.
You just told men what to do when it comes to voting.
Every man has to decide for himself what he does in his personal life. I think a good strategy could be that men walk away until the laws change. I think it's fair. Like, I think that's a good strategy. There are other ones. Maybe you could come up with some. You guys are one of the largest, political media organizations.
Well,
but I think a better strategy for you guys would be to maybe start catering, because I don't really think banning no-fault divorce would really change much. The culture is what it is.
Would change a ton. When they introduced no-fault divorce in 1969, I think it was, in Canada, the divorce rates shot up 500% within 2 years. Ending no-fault divorce. First of all, no-fault divorce wasn't even recognized in liberal New York until 2010. That change alone, it wouldn't solve the problem, but it would go a long way towards solving the problem.
That generation, a lot of them were separated anyways.
Separation is one thing. Divorce is quite another. Because that would mitigate all the problems you're describing.
I would be for it. I just don't see that getting passed anytime soon.
I don't see any of these laws getting passed. That's why it's disordered. It's disordered for men not to.
We have priests.
Clerical life. Some are called by the charism of celibacy. But for most men.
All right, I'm done here. The reality is, in some situations with divorce, sometimes I don't agree with it, but to get away from a person if they're abusive, you're at each other's throats. The children are seeing you argue. In some cases, some of you are putting hands and feet on each other. It's good just to take a break, separate until you guys could actually reconcile and actually be a family, if it's possible. Okay? And that is basically it. DNA testing would be great because that would save a lot of men from being scammed. All right. It only affects the only people who have a problem with it are women who cheat. That's it. That's all there is to it. And of course, there'll probably be some other people who would be mad, but you always got to follow the money with that. Because if you have mandatory DNA testing, women would stop cheating, and divorce lawyers would not make that much money. That's how it is. Follow the money. But tell me what you think about this debate. What do you think? What are your thoughts about Michael Knowles? What are your thoughts about Pearly things? Let me know in the comments. All right. Anything you want to know about this channel? It's in the description box. I'm also on Spotify. Hard Talk Radio, live in 4K. All right. Later.